All right. Deontay Wilder can make that comeback. He's on Instagram saying, hey, man, don't count him out. You got a whole bunch of stars saying, yeah, man, we got your back. You also have Hasim Rahman, who said he was shocked by the outcome of the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight, but that Deontay Wilder can make a comeback. I want to talk about Deontay Wilder saying not to count him out, and just the really, really over the top reaction that people are having about this guy losing in the fashion that he did in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. Look, man, Deontay Wilder in so many ways is an example of what is very, very right about the sport of boxing, but also, in my opinion, what is wrong with the sport of boxing. One of the things that Deontay Wilder shows me, man, that is if you are really, really talented and you are very dedicated to what you're doing and you set your mind to it, right? If you speak it, believe it, receive it, then it can happen for you. Because there's no other way to explain Deontay Wilder's story than that. That's the beautiful thing about Deontay Wilder in boxing. Having come from having really been in need and had a serious problem in his life relative to his daughter's health, for him to search for a way to solve that problem and decide that fighting for a living would be the way that he did it. For him to jump full-fledged 100 miles an hour into boxing and become pretty much successful out of the gate, win a bronze medal, win a heavyweight championship, fight and defend that heavyweight championship as many times as one of the reigns of Muhammad Ali, a longer reign than Lennox. I think his reign is longer than Lennox Lewis. It might have been as long or longer than any reign of Evander Holyfield or Mike Tyson, right? To have that type of performance after that type of beginning is literally the best Cinderella story that you could possibly make in boxing. That's the thing about Deontay Wilder that I find truly, truly exceptional. What is wrong with the sport of boxing is that as soon as the only way that story would be told and really spread around is if some promoter or some network decided that it was worth people understanding that was what the situation is. But because Deontay Wilder doesn't speak right, because he might not look right, and he might not say the things that people want him to say, I don't believe anybody ever really got behind him. But it never really mattered because of the performances that he put on in the ring, dude. I dare you to find me anybody in the sport of boxing that is put on as dramatic and as exciting as performances in the boxing ring for boxing fans over the last 5 years that Deontay Wilder has. Bar none, without a doubt, this is the most exciting knockout guy in all of boxing, the most exciting fighter in all of boxing. And as soon as he lost, boxing took this gigantic dump on him. And that's because the people that run boxing, like the established promoters, the media people that rely on those established promoters for their access to fighters, their access to breaking news, and hence their very ability to survive in the profession. Because Deontay Wilder, at least this is my opinion, because Deontay Wilder does not give 25% of his purse to one of those promoters so that they can then use that money, so that they can then have access to that media machine that the promoters like Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn increasingly are able to use. He's not going to get the support of the mainstream press that fighters that do allow those promoters to have that 25% of their money have. And I don't think it's much different. I don't think it's any much deeper than that. right? Now, that might sound funny because some people think that, as far as that, I see everything happening in boxing as a result of RACE. I do believe that has a lot to do with it. But I do believe that the functional aspect of it really is that with Deontay Wilder and the PBC specifically, is because the PBC is set on cutting out the middleman. The PBC is stuck on cutting out the middleman. That means there's no promoters that owns the right to exclusively promote every fighter in the PBC, right? And there's some fighters in the PBC that might have those contractual ties, right? That have are signed to a specific promoter. But the Deontay Wilders, the Keith Thurmans, the Danny Garcias, the Mikey Garcias, the Deontay Wilders, those are situations that are very, very atypical in the history of boxing. It was from the time of Tex Rickard to Bob Arum and Don King to Oscar De La Hoya, right, to Eddie Hearn. They're used to having stables of fighters that they get paid off, where they handle all of their fights. And because they handle all of their fights, they also handle all the media access to those fighters. That's the typical way that people have gone about it. And so even though I really do believe that a lot of fans have issues with Deontay Wilder because, he speaks about what he speaks about and he says the things that he says and he looks the way that he looks, that the boxing establishment, the issue that Deontay Wilder has with the boxing establishment, right, is more related to the business model of the PBC than it is to anything else. Because if Deontay Wilder was fighting for Bob Arum, more than likely Bob Arum would be, if he believed that he could make that amount of money, he would be trying to sell. You would have significantly more favorable coverage in the media for Deontay Wilder. And the reason that I say that is because I witnessed it with the Tyson Fury fight. There was a lot of conversation, the Tyson Fury rematch, which was handled by Bob Arum. If you pay attention to what people were saying about the pay-per-view sales for Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz only being 2,000 tickets, and then somebody after that said it was only 2,500, 1,800. Dude, all that stopped when Bob Arum was like, no, if you're talking about it did 183,000, you must be talking about just from one cable distributor, because there's no way that fight did very, very well. He didn't say the number, but Bob Arum said that fight did very, very well. And after that, you heard very, very little from the mainstream press trying to argue or discredit what Bob Arum had said. And that's because if you disagree with Bob Arum, you're not going to get access to his press. You're not going to get access to his fights. You're going to be Dan Rayfield learned that. Dan Rayfield, and this is according to something that was written by, I do believe it was by Paul Magno, told this story. I could be wrong if it wasn't Paul Magno, but he talked about how Bob Arum had prevented Dan Rayfield from sitting in his usual press row because he's pissed off at him. So he had to go sit with the rest of the auxiliary press. And he, instead of going to sit with the auxiliary press, he just went and wrote his article from ESPN's, from their production truck. And there's 78 Sports TV he's applied for credentials to Top Rank Fight. Top Rank looks at the videos. Hey, you don't look pro Bob Arum enough. We can't let you in. So when it's Bob Arum and it's when these promoters that have access to all of these different fighters, right? So they have access to 5 or 6 different fighters. If they have a positive attitude about you and are pushing you big time, then the media that needs access to all of those fighters are a little more hesitant to take a crap on you and tell you what they might really think. So that's what I think is really the issue with why Deontay Wilder is not the sad thing about Deontay Wilder's career, how that really exposes the inner working of boxing. As far as people just discounting Deontay Wilder and saying Deontay Wilder can't win the fight, can't win the Tyson Fury fight. Look, man, if you say that, then you don't know heavyweight boxing. Tyson Fury is going to get in that ring with Deontay Wilder very nervous because he knows perfectly well 2 things. Number 1, he knows he cheated. You all might act like he didn't cheat, but Tyson Fury knows he extended that glove. just like everybody else. And he knows now that everybody's going to be looking for that. And the significance of that is that his reach in this next fight is going to be about 3 to 4 inches shorter than it was for the last 2 fights. His jab is now able to be countered because it's 3 and 4 inches. It's 3 and 4 inches shorter than it was the last fight. But more importantly, the first fight where he wound up flat laid out on his back. One more shot like that can do that to Tyson Fury the same way it did before, but that's heavyweight boxing and it can happen to anybody. Just like when Deontay Wilder tried to slip a jab the wrong way against Tyson Fury and got hit back in the back of his head and the whole fight changed. It was one punch that changed that whole fight. It can be one punch, it can change the next fight. That's the history of heavyweight boxing. And I really do look forward to seeing the third fight with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. And at the end of all this, I really do hope that Deontay Wilder, it's probably when he retires, that he gets the credit for being the great fighter that he is, and that he gets the credit for the true Cinderella story that he is, and how boxing can be really used to change the lives of families, and how if you really dedicate yourself and you're focused to your craft, that you can make it where you want to go. Now, Deontay Wilder has a reality check that he's going to have to do the same thing again. He's going to have to really bear down and say, let me become a better boxer. I have to sew up some of the holes in my game and become the absolute best fighter that I can be. Now, having a tremendous power and being a tremendously skilled fighter, because he is that, to the point that he is, got him away with a lot of things. You let him get away with a lot of things and, allowed him to still be successful. But if he wants to change what happens in the first fight, then he's going to have to make the adjustments necessary to improve himself 5-10% as a fighter in order to be able to beat Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury is a hell of a fighter, man. His cheating proved it. The fact that he would even think of doing something like that tells you you're dealing with somebody, man, who got his mind set on winning. He had his mind set on winning, no matter how he got about doing it. And when you're dealing with somebody that is trying to win, no matter how they go about doing it, you got to be really, really on your P's and Q's and making sure you're doing the same thing. And that is in the preparation for the fight. It's all of that. But anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.